After 12 years of hiding, her amazing Top Gun past is revealed by an F-22's life-changing SOS. Emily Carter stared at the diner's door, the bell jingling softly as another customer entered, oblivious to the storm of memories swirling in her heart. Years of silence wrapped around her like a heavy cloak since the tragic day that veered her from the skies to a simple life in Maplewood. But today, the air felt charged, electric. An F-22 had crash-landed just a few miles away, breaking the quiet that had become all too familiar. The honks and shouts of the townsfolk spread through the diner like wildfire. "Did you hear? A fighter jet. Right outside town." Their excitement pierced through Emily's facade. She forced a smile, pouring coffee while her mind raced. What would they think if they knew? A Top Gun pilot, now serving pie and coffee. Every piece of gossip nestled in her heart like the endless fragments of her past. "Can you believe it, Em?" her friend Lily asked, sliding into a booth. "What if they want to recruit here? Imagine Maplewood becoming a military hub." The thought made Emily's chest tighten. She loved this town, yet the weight of her history hung heavy. Just beyond the laughter and chatter, she felt the specter of her father watching, his disapproving gaze simmering under the surface. He had always drawn lines, declaring her a traitor for turning her back on duty. When the F-22 had exploded across her weekend, it had not only shattered the silence, it had forced the door wide open on who she once was. As the hours passed, Lieutenant Alex Rivers appeared amid the crowd, a charismatic young pilot calling her name with an eagerness that caused the entire diner's attention to shift. Recognition sparked. They had trained together at the Naval Academy. There he was, bright-eyed, a living reminder of who she was and what she had left behind. Memories of soaring skies and adrenaline-filled missions flooded her mind. Just like that, her past wasn't just a collection of whispered secrets. It was forcefully re-entering her life. "Emily? Emily Carter?" His voice carried through the air, cutting through her reverie. The townsfolk watched with bated breath, their eyes twinkling with a mix of curiosity and disbelief. This was their waitress, the woman who flipped burgers and served pie, now the subject of their fascination. As he approached, the air thickened with doubt and excitement. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With the eyes of the townsfolk glued to her, Emily felt the full weight of their expectations. The mixed emotions her father had embodied bubbled to the surface, a turbulent cauldron of pride, regret, and a longing for acceptance. As Alex recounted tales of their time together training, the diner buzzed with excitement. Her heart raced, torn between two worlds. What if she had still been living the life of a pilot? The thrill of flight nested deep in her, yet here she stood, tethered by motherhood and the everyday grind. When the local officials seized the moment, viewers caught whispers of transforming Maplewood into a military recruitment center, the diner now a crossroads of thoughts and feelings. Emily became the reluctant center of a fierce debate, a symbol of sacrifice and duty. Yet, amidst this chaos, shadows loomed. Her father's hard stare boring into her from the back of the diner ignited her insides, leaving her tongue-tied, but a resolve flared up. Could she rebuild what they had lost and forge a path for her children? As silence filled the air, and the power flickered, plunging all into darkness, a single thought pierced her heart. What would she stand for, and at what cost? Emily's heart raced in the sudden darkness of the diner. A low murmur of uncertainty rippled through the crowd, faces illuminated by the flickering light of cell phones. She felt claustrophobic, the weight of years spent cloaked in anonymity now bearing down on her. "Emily?" Alex's voice broke through the chatter, filled with concern. "Are you okay?" She could barely register his question. The shadows of the past loomed larger than life, wrapping around her like a familiar embrace she'd long tried to forget. The world outside the diner seemed surreal, a blend of fear and thrill colliding in her veins. Embers of her old self flickered beneath the surface, and against her better judgment, she felt the pull. "Let us get out of here," she muttered, finding her voice. Alex nodded, a spark of understanding in his eyes. Together they slipped out through the back door, the sound of chaos fading behind them. The cool evening air hit her like a splash of cold water. It steeled her resolve, and for a second, the woman she had been felt real again. "Can you believe this is happening?" Alex asked, his breath visible in the chilly night as they walked toward the wreckage site. "I feel like I just stepped into an action movie." "You must be excited, right?" "Excited?" Emily's laugh came out breathy, edged with disbelief. "You could say that. But it's complicated." "What do you mean?" "You were one of the best. You still are, aren't you?" The words hung between them, both a challenge and an invitation. Emily halted, her pulse quickening. Was she still that woman? The weight of her family, her children, pressed on her now, but could she still claim that spirit? "Alex, you don't understand. It's been years since I allowed myself to even think about flying," she admitted, her voice steady on the outside but trembling inside. "I buried it all." Your past makes you who you are," he interrupted gently. "There is still time to reclaim that." A flash of hope ignited within Emily, followed closely by the chilling thought of how her father would react, lurking once again in the shadows of her mind. Every decision she made rippled outwards, threatening the safety of her family, the very essence of her life now. They stopped at the edge of the clearing, an eerie glow emanating from the twisted metal of the downed F-22. The echoes of sirens rose in the distance, a reminder of reality threading through her thoughts. With each pulse of the emergency lights, her heart beat in sync, an identity wrapped tightly within her chest. "Do you remember the first flight we took together?" Alex asked, breaking the tension. "You were fearless. You took us through maneuvers I thought were impossible." She smiled, though it felt bittersweet. "I can't help but wonder what I could be done if I hadn't let go. Maybe now's your chance. Maplewood could use someone like you." "No, the military needs you," he said earnestly, stepping closer. "You're not done flying, Em." For a fleeting moment, the thought felt electrifying. But doubt clawed at her heart. "Would I be strong enough to stand up to everyone?" she whispered. The silence between them grew thick, until Alex took her hand, grounding her. "Strength isn't just in flying, Emily. It's in choosing who you want to be." As she locked eyes with him, the chaotic noise of the diner faded, replaced by a resounding clarity. Her path lay open before her, but it would demand more than she felt ready to give. Just then, a voice shouted behind them, breaking their moment. "Hey! You too!" One of the nearby firemen waved as he approached, urgency coloring his tone. "We could use a hand over here." Emily blinked back the turbulence in her heart, a tidal wave of possibility crashing over her. It was happening. Everything was shifting. But would she step into her past to face her future? "Emily? What are you going to do?" The question hung heavy in the air as the world beckoned her to choose. Would she answer the call? As she opened her mouth to respond, the earth rumbled beneath them, and the distant roar of another jet filled the night. The ground shook beneath Emily and Alex as shards of her past tugged at her heart. The roar of the jet grew louder, echoing off the trees surrounding the clearing. It struck her like a bolt. She was back where it all began, a place she thought she had left far behind. "Emily!" Alex's voice jolted her from her thoughts. "What is happening? Are you all right?" She took a deep breath, pulling herself together. This was her moment, or at least it felt like it. With each thumping heartbeat, fear and excitement danced within her. "I'm fine. Let us go see what they need." They rushed toward the fireman, who was now joined by several other responders. The illuminated haze from their flashlights played tricks on her eyes, illuminating faces etched with focus and urgency. It felt surreal, almost like the scenes she used to direct from the safety of her cockpit. The fireman, a stocky man in a cap, waved them over. "We've got reports of people trapped under some debris. We need as many hands as we can get." Emily's heart raced. Every instinct inside her screamed to step forward. She exchanged a glance with Alex, who nodded encouragingly. So many years spent hiding, and now she stood on the edge of action, on the brink of reclaiming parts of herself she'd buried deep. "Okay, we're in," she declared, her voice firm. She couldn't run from her past anymore. Perhaps it would be her rescue instead. As they navigated through the wreckage, adrenaline coursed through her like a fine whiskey, warm and bold. Emily's eyes scanned the wreckage, her mind racing through emergency protocols she hadn't thought about in years. Memories flooded her: takeoff checks, formation flying, and the exhilaration of a perfect landing. They were vivid, unbidden, yet they stoked the flames of determination inside her. "Over here!" Alex shouted, directing her attention to a tangled mess of metal. She rushed to assist, adrenaline heightening her senses. With every piece of debris they lifted, Emily felt the dust of her past wash away. "We've got to be careful," a warning voice murmured nearby. It belonged to a paramedic. "Just because the fire is out doesn't mean it's safe yet." As they cleared away the wreckage, Emily's hands wrestled with memories of laughter and danger, alongside visions of her children that played like home movies in her mind. How many times had she dreamed of flying again? How many nights had she succumbed to dullness, caged in fear of what could happen if she let the pilot within her soar? With each heaved piece of twisted metal and careful choice to clear or lift, she felt stronger. The past night had presented a chance she couldn't ignore. She was not only reclaiming her identity, but reaching toward the future one she hoped would encompass her family as well. And then, from beneath a jagged piece of fuselage, she spotted a glint of something metallic. Heart pounding, she knelt down. "I think I found something." The fireman joined her, eyes widening in recognition. "That's some of the HUD wiring and displays. It's from the plane." Suddenly, excitement surged through her veins. Could this be a bridge to a newfound purpose? What if we can get this back to the base? They could analyze exactly what went wrong. We could help save lives. Alex squeezed her hand, pride shining in his eyes. "This is your call to action, Emily. You've got this." Could she really embrace this challenge? The question lingered in the air as she lifted the damaged wiring, determination simmering beneath her skin. Suddenly, everything she thought she knew about herself felt unshackled. But just as she stood, the earth trembled again, more violently this time. An ominous roar filled the sky, closer than before. "Look!" Alex pointed up, dread creeping into his voice. "What is that?" Emily's heart lurched as a massive silhouette broke through the clouds, looming above them. For a fleeting second, her breath caught in her throat. The jet swooped lower, and she instinctively recognized the insignia painted on its fuselage, a stark reminder of her past. Was it too late to reclaim her legacy? Would she dare to embrace the danger that had once felt like home? "Are you ready for this?" Alex asked, his tone matching the uncertainty in the air. Could she choose to fly again? Or would she stay earthbound, trapped in the comfort of her fears? As the jet roared past, Emily's heart raced. One choice awaited her, with everything on the line. Would she take to the skies once more, or choose a safer path? The roar of the jet faded into the distance, leaving behind an eerie silence that felt heavy in the air. Emily could feel the adrenaline subsiding, replaced with a creeping doubt. The silhouette of the fighter jet carved out of her memories, a reminder of what she once loved. But was it too late to dive back in? "Emily?" Alex's voice broke through her thoughts, coaxing her back to the present. "What are you thinking?" She shook her head, trying to clear the haze of nostalgia. "I don't know if I can go back to that. What if I fail? What if?" The words faltered, the weight of what she might lose suddenly pressing on her. "That's the fear talking. You know your skills. You've been trained for this. You can handle it." His voice was steady, full of unwavering belief. His reassurance wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but her heart still thundered with hesitation. Above them, the skies were gray and heavy, clouds swirling ominously as if mirroring her turmoil. The urgency of the scene around them pushed Emily to take action. "We can't sit here. We need to help." Together they moved again, forging ahead in the broken landscape of metal and debris. The sharp edges glimmered like jagged teeth beneath the flashlights, while the scent of burnt fuel stung her nostrils. Each breath was heavy with the weight of what had happened. Chaos laid bare before them. "Over here!" Another voice called, a firefighter signaling to them. He seemed desperate, lost in a tide of emergency, and Emily felt the stirrings of the pilot within her awaken. Every push, every shove against the wreckage reminded her of the tight-knit camaraderie she had shared with her crew long ago. The feeling was intoxicating. It made her realize how much she had shied away from life. She looked at Alex, who was working tirelessly beside her, and suddenly fire ignited in her spirit. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, newfound conviction taking root in her heart. She worked faster, the rhythmic crash of metal echoing her heartbeat. A sudden movement caught her eye. A young woman emerged, smudged with dirt and fear. Emily felt a rush of empathy as she rushed toward her. "Are you okay?" The woman's eyes were wide, frozen in shock. I thought I'd be trapped forever." The words spilled out, laden with a raw vulnerability. Emily knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe now. We're going to get you out of here." The woman nodded, but the fear remained. It was the same kind of fear that had held Emily back for so long. She realized that she was not just helping, she was connecting. In that moment, she felt her old wings unfurling, pulling her from the ground she had buried herself in. Just as she began to lift the debris to create more space, the ground beneath them shifted again. Emily steadied herself, eyes darting around for any danger. But it was different this time. The ground wasn't quaking from the wreckage, it was a vibration, a deep rumble of something approaching. "Everyone, stay alert!" a voice shouted, and Emily's heart sunk as she turned to see the looming shadow of the jet circling back. "Emily, look!" Alex grabbed her hand, pulling her up as the jet glowed against the cloudy backdrop. It was as though the world around them vanished, the whir of engines, the chaos of rescue, the debris of her old life melted away, just her and the F-22 flying toward them like a beacon. There was something almost enchanting about it, igniting memories of freedom and flight. But then she noticed it. Something was trailing behind the aircraft. A warning flare, it fell straight toward the site they occupied. Panic gripped her as she realized the danger approaching. "Get everyone out of here!" she shouted, her eyes wide with urgency. Could she lead them away from harm? Or would her past lead them to disaster? As the jet roared above, the ground surged again, and Emily knew that in a matter of moments, everything would change. Would she have the courage to seize the day and protect those around her, or would her fears snatch it away once more? Emily's heart raced as she scanned the area, adrenaline pumping through her veins. The shrill scream of the warning flare cut through the air, and she had to act fast. Her mind flickered back to the training sessions, the drills, the survival tactics, the countless hours spent focusing on the minute details of teamwork and communication. A fire ignited within her, pushing through the fear that had kept her grounded for too long. "Everyone move!" she yelled, urgency sharpening her voice as she pointed away from the imminent danger. Encouraged by Alex's face, a mix of determination and shared fear, she dropped the debris to grab the woman's hand. "We have to get you to safety." The crowd of survivors, disoriented yet alert, reacted to her command. As she tugged the young woman along, Emily could feel the collective anxiety driving them forward. They wove through jagged metal and twisted remnants, pushing toward the less chaotic outer edge of the site. Behind them, the roar of the engine grew louder, shifting from a comforting hum to a chaotic cacophony. At any moment, the flare could strike, igniting the ground and engulfing them in flames. The thought threatened to paralyze her, but she clenched her jaw and pressed on, each step a small defiance against the fear. Keep going, Alex shouted as he moved behind them, assisting others who stumbled. With each hurried breath, Emily could feel his presence like a lifeline. He made her feel stronger, more capable. The ground heaved suddenly beneath them, and Emily stumbled, losing her grip on the woman's hand. In a flash, her instincts kicked in. She dove forward, catching the woman before she could fall. "I've got you! Just a little further!" She reassured, heart racing at the near miss. Panic threatened to claw at Emily again. What if they didn't make it? What if she failed? The what-ifs had shadowed her life, an incessant whisper warning her away from risk. But now, in this moment, the stakes were real. Lives were at risk, not just her own. When they finally broke free from the maze of wreckage, Emily turned to look over her shoulder. The flare was hanging in the air, blaring a warning as it descended toward the debris field. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. Faster! She urged again, pushing the survivors ahead. The world slowed, but her resolve crystallized. She had fought against this moment for too long. The camaraderie she had felt years ago rushed back stronger than ever. She wasn't just a pilot, she was a protector. As they reached an open space, Emily threw herself to the ground, arms wrapped around the woman, shielding her from the chaos. The flare struck the ground with a deafening explosion, a blinding flash illuminating everything around them. Emily felt the heat wash over her, her heartbeat drowning out the sounds of the world. It was the first time in years she had truly felt alive, the first time she had stepped into danger headfirst with no hesitation. Once the dust settled, she lifted her head slowly, her body quaking. The young woman was trembling but unharmed, their eyes locking with an unspoken understanding, one of survival. "Is everyone okay?" Alex shouted, rushing to them, breathing heavily but looking fervent. Emily nodded, still catching her breath. The realization of what she had just done washed over her. "I'm okay, we're all okay." But something deeper churned inside her. What did this mean for her future? As she rose to her feet, their surroundings consuming her senses, she felt an emptiness inside her, the echoes of her pilot's past calling her back, the promise of flight and freedom. Alex hesitated, his eyes searching hers. "Are you really ready to go back? To do this again?" For the first time, she didn't hesitate. She sensed the door opening, a chance to reclaim her life, her passion. "I can't ignore who I am anymore." But would the world still want her? As the horizon of her future stretched out, the jet roared back overhead, circling like a hawk above her. What would she choose? Would she answer the call, or would the shadows of her past still hold her captive? The silence that fell then felt heavy with potential, the uncertain winds of change whispering in her ear. Emily stood there, the heat of the explosion still lingering in her veins, the echoes of their escape ringing in her ears. The dust settled around them like a fog, but there was no mistaking the feeling that had replaced the dread. It was a stirring, an awakening, and Emily could hardly catch her breath from a mix of adrenaline and realization. From behind her, Alex approached, a look of awe painted across his features. "You were incredible back there," he said, his voice steady yet laced with disbelief. "That was heroic." She felt a warm flush creep up her neck at his words. "I just did what needed to be done," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. It wasn't just instinct, it had been a choice. A choice to step forward instead of retreat. The crowd was beginning to calm, finding their footing in the aftermath of chaos. Conversations buzzed around them, survivors sharing their disbelief, their gratitude spurring murmurs of resilience. Yet, amid the chatter, Emily's heart felt heavy again. What was the path that lay ahead? Would they even allow her back into the world she had once loved? She glanced toward the sky, the F-22's still gliding in a wide arc above, a sentinel watching over them. Each graceful turn of the aircraft sent a pang of longing through her chest. "Emily?" Alex's voice broke her reverie. "You need to decide what you want. This isn't over." His eyes searched hers, waiting for a response. "Are you ready to fly again?" The truth thrummed through her like a live wire. For years she had hidden, cloaked herself in the safety of the mundane, fearing the scars of her past would never fade. Yet here she was, the frayed edges of who she was beginning to stitch themselves back together in the unlikeliest of moments. "I want to," she whispered, her resolve firming. "But what if I can't?" His gaze softened, and he moved closer, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You're stronger than you think. You proved that today." Emily swallowed hard, relying on his confidence to fuel her own. The shock of the explosion had shown her how fleeting and precious each moment was. "We need to gather the others," he urged, glancing at the now quiet throng of survivors, their faces streaked with dirt and hope. "We have to make a plan." As they turned to face the crowd, Emily felt buoyed by the shift within her. The fears and doubts that once dictated her path began to recede like the smoke in the sky. It was now or never. The call of the cockpit was insistent, a siren song. Just as they began to rally the scattered groups back into coherence, a low rumble startled them all. The F-22 dipped lower, a shadow crossing over their little gathered community, its engines roaring magnificently. Clarity filled Emily's vision. She could almost feel the cockpit, the instruments beneath her fingers, the untouched skies calling her name. But amid the glorious vision filled with promise, a twist of anxiety curled in her stomach. What if they don't want me? What if I've lost my chance? The thought swirled, battling with the hope blossoming within her. "Then we make them see you," Alex said, his voice steady, solid against her doubts. "The world needs you, Emily." A sudden burst of courage surged, pushing down the weeds of fear. "Let us find a way. Let us show them." As the crowd began to chatter again, hearts beating with determination, Emily realized this moment wasn't about leaving the past behind. It was about integrating it all: the fear, the sorrow, the strength, and flying forward into the unknown. The F-22 circled once more, its engine roar transforming into a thunderous encouragement. Emily's heart quickened. Would she really step back into that life? A shadow fell over their group, and as she looked up, a crack of memory raced through her mind. What if this time, she didn't just fly but soared? The question lingered, the decision humbling yet emboldening. But before she could lose herself in her thoughts again, Alex interrupted, pointing to the jet. "Look! They're signaling." Emily's breath caught as she followed his gaze. The aircraft was sending a message, its movements deliberate and SOS, perhaps waiting for them to understand. What lay behind that captivating display? Answers? Opportunities? Or even more danger? The thrill of the unknown danced before her, beckoning them all. Would they dare to answer the call? The F-22 soared above them, its graceful maneuvers stirring not just the air but also rippling through the crowd, igniting curiosity and hope. Emily felt the intensity of collective breaths held tight, all eyes fixed on the jet that seemed almost alive, an emissary from another world. "What do you think it's trying to say?" someone whispered, breaking the spell of silence that had fallen over them. A murmur of speculation rippled through the gathered group, each person grappling with their own interpretation of the aircraft's movements. Emily exchanged a glance with Alex. His brow was furrowed, deep in thought, but there was a spark in his gaze that gave her courage. "I think it's a call to action," he replied, his voice cutting through the hum. "We need to respond. We can't let this moment pass us by." The air was charged with anticipation. Emily felt as if the plane was acting as a bridge, connecting her past with the present, weaving together the strands of fear and strength that had shaped her. She stood straighter, her heart racing not just from adrenaline but from the realization that everything she had hidden from was right here, right now. "Emily," Alex urged, drawing her back into focus. "If you're going to do this, we need to act fast." His tone was filled with urgency, yet it carried a weight of hope, too. With a deep breath, Emily stepped forward. "Listen up!" Her voice projected through the crowd. Faces turned, a patchwork of fear, confusion, and curiosity reflecting back at her. "That plane isn't just flying aimlessly. It's signaling that there's still hope out there, opportunities waiting. We can't afford to miss this chance." Murmurs of agreement bounced around her, voices beginning to rise in excitement. "We need to gather whatever resources we have. If they're reaching out for us, we owe it to ourselves to embrace it." As she spoke, ideas began to bubble up. Emily remembered the small group of talented pilots she had trained with, individuals who had pushed her to realize her potential. Maybe they would respond to the call, maybe together they could forge a path forward. "Do you think they'll take you back?" a young woman from the crowd asked, vulnerability clear in her voice. "After everything that has happened?" The question hung heavy in the air, silencing the crowd. For a moment, doubt seeped back in, slithering through her mind. What if her past wasn't just a burden but something that could empower her? I don't know what they will think, Emily admitted, her throat tightening. But I know I can only find out if I step forward. I wasn't made to hide forever. A chorus of voices swelled from the crowd, encouragement rising up like a tide. We believe in you, Emily. Someone shouted, and it rippled into a wave, unifying everyone in a shared hope. Feeling the warmth of their support embracing her, Emily nodded. We'll contact the base. We have to act like today is a new beginning. As Alex extracted a battered phone from his pocket, the F-22 arced gracefully overhead once more, its wings illuminated by the sun. It seemed to affirm her commitment, validating the courage she tried so hard to muster. But then, just as they began to draft a plan, the jet veered sharply, its engine screeching as it positioned itself to head directly toward them. The crowd gasped, hearts quickening. What was happening now? Emily's mind raced. Was this merely a show of force, or was there something more? Could it mean they were being watched or that someone was coming to help? Get ready! Alex shouted, his earlier confidence shining through, even as uncertainty crackled in the air. Emily felt the ground shift beneath her resolve, and suddenly, everything was on the precipice of change. Would she take that step? Would this signal promise the answers she craved, or would it only lead them deeper into the fray? As the jet continued its stunning display, Emily clutched her heart, the weight of decisions pushing down hard. The next moment could open doors to hope or plunge them into chaos. What awaited them in the skies above, and would it change everything they thought they knew? The F-22 roared closer, its powerful engines vibrating the air around Emily, who stood at the front of the crowd. Gasps and whispers surged like waves, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. It felt as if the jet recognized her, was waiting for her. The crowd shifted, eyes wide, uncertainty mixing with exhilaration. Emily! Alex called out again, breaking through the haze of her thoughts. What's your move? As if sensing the weight of his question, she felt her heart pound louder. I need to reach out. Would her voice even carry through the roar of the jet? Here. Alex pushed the phone into her hand. Text the base. Do you remember the old number? The air felt electric as Emily took the phone, her fingers trembling. Part of her screamed to run, to flee from the daunting thought of reconnecting with her past. But as the F-22 danced overhead, something awoke inside her, a forgotten fire flickering back to life. I can't just text, she said finally, adrenaline surfacing. It's not enough. I need to go there in person. A hush fell over the crowd. Hope collided with fear in the air, but they stood there, waiting for her next decision, their unspoken faith resting heavy on her shoulders. The jet roared again, circling them like a hawk, and Emily found her voice rising to meet the challenge. We have to show them we're ready. I'll gather the old team I know, they haven't completely left me behind. And if they hesitate, she paused, letting the possibilities linger. We'll remind them how much we could accomplish together. There was a collective swell of excitement as people nodded and murmured their agreements. If there was a way to break the chains that held them back, now might be it. Fires ignited in their eyes, fear morphing quickly into determination. Let us do this. Someone shouted from the back. Emily felt clarity spill over her. This moment was not just about her anymore. It was about everyone standing here with her, ready to embrace the unknown, fueled by their shared dreams and commitment. Alex! She yelled as the jet veered closer yet again, its engine roaring like the voice of a long-lost friend. We should head to the base. The flight plan. He fished the old map out of his bag, and they quickly spread it on the ground. The crowd gathered around, eyes darting between Emily and the soaring jet above. It's this way. We can reach it if we go through the East Grove. As Emily traced their path, adrenaline surged through her veins. She glanced up at the jet, which seemed to hold its position, as if encouraging her. This was it. But as excitement mounted, a shadow snaked through the crowd, a tether of doubt. What if they don't want you back? The voice was soft, yet heavy with fear. Emily's heart twisted at the question. What if they were right? What if she was too broken to return? But she could feel their hope wrapped around her, pulling her forward. I have to try, she replied firmly. This is about more than just me now. Just then, the F-22 made a sudden dive, spiraling down lower. Everything seemed to stand still again as they collectively held their breath, a feeling like the calm before a storm hanging over them. Emily's gaze never left the jet. Was it a warning or a reminder? She couldn't tell, but she knew deep down that they had already started a journey they couldn't back down from. Let us move, she shouted, spinning on her heels to face the crowd. We're stronger together. Let us show them we're ready. As they surged forward, hearts racing, Emily felt a sense of purpose burning brightly. The F-22 pulled up, almost as if it were leading the way, and with every step toward the base, Emily realized this: no matter where this flight plan would lead, she was ready to reclaim who she was. But as they ran, the sky darkened unexpectedly, and the F-22's engines roared again with a different timbre. An ominous yet thrilling feeling settled over them. Was change coming, or peril? Emily paused, glancing up, heart pounding. Dark clouds rolled in, and she caught sight of a second silhouette breaking through the haze. What did it mean? Could the skies soon deliver hope or disaster? The ground beneath felt shaky, and she wondered if they were prepared for what awaited them. Emily's pulse raced as she watched the second silhouette approach. The darkened clouds seemed to close in above her, heavy with unspoken tension. It wasn't just any aircraft. It bore the unmistakable marks of a phantom. Suddenly, everything felt surreal. Not just the jet's presence, but how her life was about to unfold, torn between what was and what could be. Stay alert! She shouted to the crowd, drawing them closer. Their faces brightened with anticipation, and the energy shifted palpably as the F-22 climbed, then leveled off. The Phantom swooped in low, engines crackling like static electricity, paralleling Emily's own shifting emotions. What does this mean? Someone whispered from the group, eyes wide with confusion. I don't know, Emily replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But we need to focus. We've come this far. We need to reach the base. She met Alex's gaze, and he gave her a nod of encouragement. With newfound resolve, they pushed forward, moving briskly past the east grove. The tall trees loomed around them, their branches rustling ominously. Emily felt the weight of the past bearing down on her, every lost opportunity, every memory locked away. But she shook it off. This was a chance to reclaim everything. The group picked up its pace, hearts beating in unison, united by a shared vision. As they approached the base, Emily could see the tall fences, barbed wire that seemed more like a metaphor than a barrier. Would they let her in? What if her return ignited old wounds? I believe we can do this, she called out, breathing in the fresh air laced with faint memories of jet fuel and adrenaline. We're all in this together. Our dreams, our hopes, they matter. Every footstep felt louder than the last as she reached the gates, the structure looming like a giant guardian. A guard appeared, skeptical but curious, his eyes wandering past the buzzing energy of the crowd to fixate on Emily. She took a deep breath, summoning the spirit of her past, her training, her courage. I'm here. I need to speak to Commander Morales, she said, her voice clear and unwavering. The guard raised an eyebrow. And you are? Emily Carter. I was before she could finish, he interrupted. I know who you are. What makes you think you have the right to just stroll back after all these years? A silence fell over them. Emily's stomach twisted, but she stood her ground. I'm ready to serve. Ready to prove that I'm more than what I once was. Memories rushed in, moments of glory mixed with pain. In that split second, the F-22 roared overhead, a thunderous affirmation. It passed by so low it shook the ground beneath them. Emily glanced up again, feeling the weight of the potential change. Stand down, soldier, a voice rang out, and everyone turned to see Commander Morales stepping out from the shadows of the gate. His expression was unreadable, but recognition flickered in his eyes. Emily's heart raced again as she felt something shift in the air between them. It's time for all of us to face the skies again, he said, his tone heavy with history. But first, you need to understand what you'll have to face. What did he mean? Emily's breath caught in her throat. She was ready for anything, wasn't she? Yet doubt crept in again. Was the past truly buried, or could it rise up to meet her one last time? Just as she prepared to respond, a crack of thunder reverberated in the distance, and the clouds thickened, drenching the ground with sudden rain. The moment felt heavy, charged with uncertainty. Would the storm wash away the past or protect it? As Emily stood there, the crowd behind her silent but watchful, she felt the small steps to her future slipping away. But more than anything, she was ready to fight not just for herself, but for all of them. "Are you with me?" she shouted to the crowd, heart pounding as thunder rolled again, echoing her call. And with that shared promise, her journey had just begun, or had it already? What awaited them within those gates? Emily stood at the gates of the base, heart pounding. Rain poured down around them, washing the remnants of doubts and fears. The air felt heavy, charged with emotions tightly woven through the years. Commander Morales glared, yet there was intrigue in his eyes, as if he understood the fire burning inside her. "What do you want?" he asked sharply. "I want to fly again, to serve again. I can't hide who I am any longer," Emily declared, stepping forward despite the drenching rain. Each word thundered strong, mingling with the storm that raged around them. The crowd behind her stirred, an electric wave of solidarity. "We believe in her!" someone shouted, and powerful murmurs rippled through the group, igniting a collective courage they didn't realize they had. "Emily, this isn't just about you," Morales warned, finally stepping slightly closer. "Your past was your choice, and you left. Why should I let you come back?" "Because," Emily steadied her breath, her resolve becoming palpable, "my past is exactly why I'm ready now. I've spent years hiding, but today I've remembered something that was lost. I know I can protect people not just in the skies, but down here, grounded in this community." Morales narrowed his gaze, reading her earnestness. "And it won't be easy. This isn't a simple return. It will be tests, training. You will have to prove yourself all over again." "Then let us start right now!" Emily exclaimed, adrenaline coursing through her, making her feel lighter than the storm clouds above. She felt greater than her struggles, bigger than the shadows of regret. "Fine," Morales said, almost too quickly, as if he felt the spark of something great igniting within them all. "If you want your wings back, you'll fight for them. Show me you're serious. Let us do it," she called, turning to the crowd. "Who's with me?" The enthusiasm of the townspeople surged like a tidal wave, voices rising together. "We're with you. We'll support you." One by one, hands shot up in the air. Every father, mother, and child sent their hopes spinning into the sky. Emily's spirit soared with them, each cheer like an airlift reinforcing her courage. Alex stood beside her, eyes bright. "I'll help you however I can, Em. You don't have to do this alone." The determination of community rallied around her, transforming the tension of the moment into a unified front. "Let us make a plan," Emily said, her heart fierce with possibility. "We're not just fighting for this base. We're fighting for every dream overshadowed by doubt, every person hidden by fear." Morales seemed to sense it too, his hardened exterior softening. "All right, but time is short. If you're determined, we'll get you into action. Tonight, we gather intel, and tomorrow, we start training." Laughter and shouts of yes rang out, washing away any lingering fear left from the storm. The rain came down in torrents, yet it felt like a cleansing. It was a baptism of sorts, washing away years cloistered in shadows. Emily turned, facing the night sky, feeling the warm embrace of acceptance around her, both from her community and the world that awaited. The clouds threatened to storm, but they held no power against her renewed resolve. At that moment, she knew she had a family not bound by blood but by dreams, hopes, and the fight for new beginnings. She wasn't just reclaiming her past, she was paving the way for her future, not just as a pilot, but as a woman ready to embrace every heartache, every triumph, and every victory. "Let us take off," she said, looking at the flying silhouettes above, hearts swelling with the love and trust of the crowd. And they would. Together, beneath the darkening sky, they would ascend to heights untold. So, are you ready to soar with Emily and join her on this journey of transformation and courage? Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this journey alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even 1 more second. Only true fans understand the urgency of supporting the rise of outstanding stories.